Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings reluctantly from the conference office here in St. Louis. Not because I don't love my office or the conference office, but because I was supposed to be working from my home in Houston. As I am recording this on Thursday, I was supposed to go home yesterday, and my flight was canceled. I was supposed to go home today, and my flight was canceled, and so I am going home on Sunday afternoon and returning on Wednesday morning. So as you are watching this on Tuesday, know that I am wonderfully home after Labor Day with my husband and exchange students. I want to thank you for your contacts and your love and your prayers, the ways you have reached out to me asking about David, my husband, and our home and our exchange students. We are all okay physically. We were very fortunate. Our house incurred no damage from flooding. We did not lose electricity, which in the past Hurricane Ike, we lost electricity for 2 weeks, but the winds were not as bad this time, and so my husband had electricity at our house. But as you are probably very familiar, the rain hovered over the Houston area, which, as large as it is, actually it affected about 52 counties in the state of Texas. From the beginning of the tropical storm all the way until after the waters began to recede and began to flood in other areas such as Beaumont. I want to share with you a little bit about the UCC in Houston. Just as we have the Missouri Mid-South Conference, the equivalency for Texas and New Orleans is the South Central Conference. And there is the Houston Association, which has 17 churches from the urban area of Houston to Rosenberg and Needville, good, wonderful, historically E&R churches. There are African-American churches in Houston. There is a Filipino church in Southwest Houston. There is a Church of South India in South Houston. There are churches in the northern suburbs where I served in Spring, but also in Cypress. One of our churches that incurred flooding last year, they had just been in their sanctuary on August 20th, last Sunday, and they incurred more flooding again, where the picture, if you've seen it on ucc.org, it looks like there's two rivers that are in between the church. That is Christ Church, where Jeff Wiley, a graduate of Eden Theological Seminary, is the pastor. Also, there are UCC churches in places outside of the metropolis of Houston, including Beaumont. You may have heard about Beaumont on Wednesday and Thursday as it was flooded and severely damaged. I think the whole community. There is a historically African-American UCC church that is there. I have not heard how they are doing. As well as Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is just on the border of Texas and Louisiana, about 2 hours east of Houston. 17 UCC churches in the fourth largest city of the country. And so I invite us, as we are lifting those in the affected areas of Texas, of Hurricane Harvey, to remember our UCC churches in the Houston Association and the South Central Conference as well. As those of you who have experienced flooding or trauma in your own lives, you know that it is important to be honest with what you are going through. For us, for me, that has been very important. I have been reminded of the experiences of serving and volunteering in Hurricane Katrina, going to the Astrodome as the Evacuees were leaving New Orleans and were coming devastated and traumatized, and that began to come back up for me in seeing the footage of people being rescued. Also, the hurricanes that I survived and endured in terms of Rita, where the traffic flow, trying to get 6 million people out of that area was very difficult, as well as Ike, where we were, as I said, 2 weeks without electricity. Devastation and suffering and pain happen. And we do not ask how or why, or maybe we do. But for me, it is how will we embody God's love? And we have seen it over and over and over, the goodness of God's love in the midst of devastation, where we are not asking who each other voted for or what each other believes, but we help because we are supposed to. And I believe that that is our mandate and our charge, to love as best as we are able, our neighbors, ourselves, and as we are doing that, we are loving God. And so, as you have been asking, what can we do? I invite you to continue to love and to send your prayers to those who have been devastated, to those especially who are poor, who don't have insurance, the survivors of Katrina who now are surviving Harvey, those LGBTQ homeless youth, where there is a large population in Houston, those undocumented residents of Houston who had the terrible dilemma of, do I ask for help, but is that going to put me into danger? And luckily the Houston local government and then federal government said, don't worry about your documentation and your status. We will rescue all. But also in your prayers, I invite you to give. We are a generous people. And so I invite you to consider giving to the UCC Disaster Relief, which is 1 great hour of sharing that will go directly to those affected by Hurricane Harvey, not only in the immediate need, but as we will know in the disasters that we have incurred in the Missouri Mid-South Conference. The UCC waits to make sure that what we offer is the long-term care, and for those who may not be receiving the care and the attention and the relief from other nonprofit organizations and charitable organizations. So I invite you to give and to continue to give in that way. Finally, I want to share with you that my spiritual companion during this time has been Jan Richardson, the book The Cure for Sorrow, a book of blessings for times of grief. I just bought this book a few weeks ago because I love Jan Richardson. She's a great artist and writer, and because she wrote this after her beloved spouse died suddenly. And so I offer to us a blessing that she wrote, entitled Blessing for the Brokenhearted. May this be our love, our blessing, our prayer that we offer to the divine, and we offer to the divine in those affected by this Hurricane Harvey devastation. Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger, or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal the wound, when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now, it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating. as if it were made for precisely this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us nonetheless. This is our blessing for the brokenhearted, for those in Texas, for those in India and Nepal and Bangladesh, for those in areas of our conference and all of creation, where there is brokenhearted people and creation. May there be blessing of God's love to heal our wounds and to save us in this moment. This is God, this day and forevermore. Amen.